Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converse. Thanks for coming by. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, that's for sure. What a day. I had taken the day off of work and had a little bit of an easier day, which I'm very much thankful for. Having a little bit more of a weekend, so a 3 day, you know what I mean? Starting my weekend off early and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Christina. Christina in the house. Nice to see you. It is time for coffee for you. If I drink coffee this late at night, I'm not going to be able to sleep. That's for sure. So, coffee really affects me, not in the morning or during the day. I mean, even though I drink coffee, it just kind of feels normal. But if I drink it at night, then I will really notice it. Hey, Daniel. Daniel Backer off the wall novels is in the house. Nice to see you, brother. For sure. We have an awesome show ahead of us. Daniel's going to be jumping on in a little bit. Ineffable. Thank you, buddy, for showing up. Nice to see you for sure. Hey, Sandy. Sandy misreads a lot in the house. Nice to see you for sure. Hey, Pavio. Nice to see you. Pavio at attention. And the Falcon. Hey, buddy. I have been checking out some of your content, brother, and you're right about everything you said in the last live. So, it's almost podcast style where I need to have time sectioned off for it rather than just being able to kind of read it or listen to it and or watch it whenever, just whenever. So I will and get some of your ideas. I did click on your you did the once and future king. So I started listening to that, and then I glanced down, and I'm like, oh my god, it's over an hour. I need to really have time for that. Hey Anna, nice to see you. Anna is another friend from Instagram that is over there in the uh, part of the world where Christina is at. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning when I'm doing my live. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. Just know that it's also hot as hell here. It is brutal. Um, it's just brutal outside. So we're all putting up with it. Hey, Christy Louise Dosefsky in space. Nice to see you for sure. Always cool hanging out. Alan, Big Hard Books and Classics in the house. So very cool. Hey, Scott, long time no see. Glad to see you coming by. And Moon Palm, awesome, awesome. You know, you know. Um, if you're pushing my buttons, you'll get a comment from me. I will engage. That's for sure. I like book discussion, and I don't mind it one bit if people see differently and all that kind of stuff, right? So I will let everybody know that I um I do monetize my channel because I can, and it gives me ability to kind of um limit YouTube as far as what ads they place on my videos and stuff. I don't like that stuff when I'm watching, and I actually use something to never have any ads on my device. So, very cool if you do that, and if you don't, then you put up with the ads on YouTube and things like that. But you will never have an ad pop up in the middle of my videos because I limit that, and I limit YouTube on putting ads. As long as they're going to allow me to limit it, I'm going to limit it. So where to support me is right here. This is a little no overhead, no worries kind of place where you can support the channel, support the book habit, support some equipment maybe in the future to do a little bit of a better job for making videos and all that kind of stuff. And all good. Pay attention. That's for sure. You have to pay attention. You have to pay VO attention. So looks good. I will start off just by saying that I got a haul of books because my wife hooked me up with the best Father's Day gift, a gift card, right? So I could get whatever I wanted. And she knows that I'm going to get books, and she knows that I'd rather pick out those books rather than her just try to, find something that I would like. Nice. Mark Richardson in the house. Nice to see you. Hopefully Deb hanging out as well. Nice to see y'all. Bye. I hope everything's cool up there. I saw your Donahue haul. I think it was yesterday, Mark. That was a cool haul. That's for sure. And Brian at Bookish in the house. Nice to see you, brother. Very cool. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Rounders. That's a good old movie, man. I like it. That's for sure. Yeah, go ahead. Uh Go ahead. That's what I do. I bring people together, right? Yeah, Emily knows what's up. That's for sure. Emily is a nice wife. Really knows what's up. And so I finally got the end of my what I had got on the gift card there. There's Emily. Hey, baby. Nice to see you. Emily is in the house giving a virtual hug. Nice to see you, baby. And I think that hug's for everybody. I mean, I grab a hug, my own hug, and I think everybody else is getting in on that virtual hug. So here you go. Get you some. And so yeah, um, we've got we I got the final haul, and I got a Gaddis novel that I did not own. Gaddis only wrote 5 novels in his lifetime, so I got one that I had never read before, and that is Carpenter's Gothic. He wrote Recognitions, then JR, then Carpenter's Gothic here, and then he wrote A Frolic of His Own. I might have those two switched. And then he wrote Agape Agape. And so I got this Viking Carpenter's Gothic. This is, I believe, the first edition. And it's definitely not a book club edition. So it is, as far as I can tell, a first edition hardcover. So got it for a great deal. Just got it on eBay. And the I can't wait to read all the William Gaddis. I'm telling you guys, JR is one of the funniest, most awesome, blow your mind books that has ever been written. One of the craziest books that has ever been written. And you will laugh your head off the whole time. It's so fun. And and I can't wait to read everything that he does. Even, Carpenter's Gothic and A Frolic of His Own are both a little bit smaller than JR and the Recognitions, but I'm sure, and Agape Agape is definitely shorter, a good bit shorter. So we'll see. We'll see. It's not all about how big it is and how long it is, or that kind of thing. Gaddis was a satirist that is of the highest order, and it's just hardcore. Nice. You're gonna love it, Alan. You're gonna love it, brother. And I need to definitely, I would love to get in on that just to hear discussion and to just keep it fresh, even if I don't read along with y'all, because it is great. Yeah, you definitely need to. The Audible, I got the Audible when I had read it before, and it's fantastic because JR is meant to be a very auditory book. It's so cool. Hey Yasmin, I saw Yasmin at To the Lit House. Nice to see you for sure. So awesome. Awesome. And Yasmin and I are crazy people. We are crazy for sure. Um, we have taken it upon ourselves to read. in August, Roberto Bolaño's 2666. So we're going to do that. And we're doing it with a huge group of people on Instagram. It was an Instagram group that was reading it. And I mean, that's going to be my big book for August, 2666, Roberto Bolaño. So it's going to be a beast. See, that's what he said. See, Emily with the zingers. I knew somebody was going to call it out, but now it's Emily, of course. I said, it's not about how big it is. Yeah. All the Miss Dalloway readers are in the house, baby. We are reading Mrs. Dalloway. Sorry, I got my current reads over on the bed, so I can't grab them without kind of messing with the setup here. So I'm sorry I can't show them. But yeah, we're starting Mrs. Dalloway tomorrow, and we're gonna hopefully knock that out before the beginning of August, because in August I'm doing 2666 and I'm doing Sanctuary with the Faulkner and August crowd, which is going to be awesome. So awesome. And we have so many buddy reads planned. It's Mrs. Dalloway, it's 2666, it's Sanctuary, and then there's one more right now. Oh, we're doing the Exhalation. Ted Chiang short stories Exhalation. But I'm feeling good about that because we only have like two stories left, two short stories, and one of them is kind of long. But we're doing well. We're doing very well. I'm not worried about it at all. Yeah. Oh my God. Do it, Moon Palm. Do it. You will not uh be disappointed. That's for sure. All right. So, and then another part of the Father's Day haul, I got William Gaddis's The Rush for Second Place. The Rush for Second Place is The Rush for Second Place is collected essays and occasional writings of William Gaddis. It's short and it's varied in what is in there. So I can't wait to kind of read this one at my leisure. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm just gonna go for it whenever I feel like this will be the one that's kind of sitting on the desk here all the time. And when I finish a book, I'll pick it up and read one or two of the essays, things like that. So I can't wait to get more and more Gaddis. It is so fun. Faulkner in August 2021, baby. It is on. And I definitely have something cool planned for the Faulkner in August 2021. Um, it involves another booktuber as well, and we're gonna have some fun. That's for sure. I didn't hate Pride and Prejudice. That's for sure. Um, I do find that when it comes down to classics like Victorian era classics and these kind of things, that when it comes down to it, it's just they're boring. Compared to modern life, it's boring. And that's just what it comes down to. We are so far ahead of that. The first story in Exhalation is my favorite so far. I haven't read it all, but the first story in Exhalation is my favorite. It's definitely cool. Very, very cool. And beautiful, actually. And I just really, really dig that. Very cool. Christina. Oh yeah, we're doing the Master and Margarita in August as well. So I got 2666, Sanctuary, and Master and Margarita. So I'm gonna be looking to knock out Sanctuary pretty quick to let y'all know, everybody in the group, that I'm gonna read it fairly quickly. I'm just gonna go for it. And I can't wait to do that. But I will talk about it as we talk about it in the group if people are stretching it out over the month. And yeah, I hear that kind of stuff. Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know what to expect with Sanctuary. I assume that it's dark and very messed up, just like any. All right, let me get through. Get you some, Scott. Yeah. But Victorian classics are so beautiful and they have great descriptions and characterization, moral complexity. I love them. um, you know, you're right about all those things that you said, Christy. You're right. They have all those things, and reading for atmosphere and reading for that kind of stuff is definitely valid. But I just find myself personally becoming bored with Dickens. That's for sure. I become really bored with Dickens. I don't know if I'm going to read another Charles Dickens after reading uh David Copperfield. I was just like, come on. What's up, Josh? Working Man Reads in the house. Nice to see you. I saw that you started Fall of Hyperion, Mark. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. So this is somebody that came up um another live, and I had already I am addicted to book where stuff happens. Um, there might be weird stuff in most of the books that I read as well, but it's because life is pretty weird, let me tell you. And life was a lot less weird um back at that time. Not to say that the human beings were less weird. I'm sure they weren't. They have their, humans are humans and people are people as they always have been. But now we have a lot more weird stuff that's in the mainstream, and everybody has access to an insane amount of information. So I picked up Tao Lin's Trip, Psychedelics, Alienation, and Change, talking about weird stuff, right? Thank you for the segue, Brian. So, this is an exploring ideas behind philosophical ideas behind um, LSD, DMT, other hallucinogens, and those kind of things, and what the experiences mean, what the meaning, if any, is behind these kind of experiences that human beings can have on hallucinogenic substances, not just LSD, but more so DMT, ayahuasca, these kind of things, which is a kind of cool segue to the uh, the 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 guest that I got tonight as well. You love Dickens? Well, good for you, Ineffable. And I mean, I like Dickens. I'm not like disparaging Dickens. I mean, he's a great writer. There's beautiful things in even in my last read was David Copperfield, and there was a lot of beautiful passages and stuff. And I mean, there's no reason to disparage Dickens, but what has happened? Oh, I'm sure, Brian. What has happened in you know uh David Copperfield? It was just slow. It was a meandering pace. It was written in serial form and all that. You know what I mean? It's all good. It definitely is all good. And I don't mean to, like I said, I'm not talking down to it necessarily. I'm not talking down to Dickens. I'm just saying that really it's not for me now where I'm at necessarily. When I'm reading all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And when I am doing, reading that kind of stuff, if I threw a Dickens novel in now with what I'm reading, I would be so bored and just like no, I'm not down for this right now. You know what I mean? I'm tripping on cores. You're funny. I swear to God. Right. Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot more for me to experience in that way. And I don't mean to really kind of say that it doesn't have any merit, but just to say that I become, you know, bored with it with where I'm at right now. I love uh Timothy Leary writings and stuff like that. There it is some crazy stuff, isn't it? It's just some totally crazy stuff. So I picked up um from an Instagram friend. This is somebody that I've bought from before, and I will just plug the channel or plug the Instagram page is Brooklyn Attic Books. She has an insane amount of books and is always dropping cool stuff and things that you um enjoy, right? That you might be looking for and all that kind of stuff. And I picked up The American Book of the Dead by E.J. Gold. This is an American culturalization of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I love. I love the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And so I'm very interested to see what he does with the Tibetan Book of the Dead, putting it in an American context. And it is very, very cool. It is very, very cool sounding. And the Tibetan Book of the Dead is cool as hell. I mean, it's a mind blow, and it's so um awesome to get into and to kind of explore. I picked up another Carlos Fuentes. This is from Goodwill's. I went to the Goodwill. I don't think we have talked about that, Brian. I did a video on the Tibetan Book of the Dead for my Buddhist from a Western Perspective series. But I don't think that we've talked personally about the Tibetan Book of the Dead at all. And I would totally be down if you want to go ahead and hit me on Voxer to have that conversation. It there's a lot to explore, and it is very, very interesting. That's for sure. So I got the old gringo. I found this in a Goodwill, Carlos Fuentes, and I have never read it. There's somebody on Bookstagram that or BookTube that had done a video on this not too long ago. I watched it, and this is a fictionalization of Ambrose Bierce, his last days. I guess what he did is he went to Mexico to be with among Pancho Villa's soldiers and was never heard from again. So this is a fictionalization of that, and it would be really cool. Nice. Very cool, Josh. Um, so this is by Jack Rambling Raconteur said that this Margaret Sayers Peden is one of the greatest Spanish translators that he knows of. And so this is another one that she had translated. And she actually also translated the copy of Carlos Fuentes' Terra Nostra that I have. And that is pretty cool. I actually picked up at the thrift store a Penguin Black Spine of Moby Dick because why not, right? It's completely unread, and you can't ever have enough black spine penguins. Beautiful books, beautifully done, and great for you know great for the shelf and just totally manageable for rereading, revisiting at any time I might want to dig into the over 135 chapters in Moby Dick. You know, when you see a book and there's like 135 chapters to it, it's like, what is going on right here? And then I'm on the Faulkner kick. Okay. Okay. First, we're reading Mrs. Dalloway, right? So I picked up Between the Acts. I never hear anybody talking about this. It's probably not one of the better Virginia Wolves, but I picked up Between the Acts because it was at the thrift store, you know, a buck 25, and I didn't have it. So we'll check it out. If anybody does know about Between the Acts, let me know, because I do have nobody that had said anything about this book in my presence or on BookTube that I've seen. You have to read it, Falcon. Tyler, you have to read it, and afterwards you can definitely uh skewer it all you want, or skewer it all you want, but you kind of have to read it. That's for sure. And then being in the William Faulkner mode and just falling completely in love with Faulkner as a writer. As I Lay Dying and The Sound and the Fury is all that I've read so far, along with some short stories. So I got the uncollected stories of William Faulkner. This has Go Down Moses. This has uh this has The Unvanquished is a collection that is in here as well. There is Stories Revised for Later Books. The Unvanquished, Go Down Moses, and The Hamlet is in here. Big Woods and The Mansion has a story each in here. Then there are uncollected stories. The first story is titled Nympholepsy. I almost started reading it. Like right when I saw that, I was like, Faulkner is a madman. I have to read this. Oh my God, Sandy. Read As I Lay Dying. That's all I can say. This is to be read. That's for sure, Brian. Yeah. The uncollected stories in a collection, right? Yeah. I think after Sanctuary, I'm gonna read I'm gonna read Light in August next. And then I will be doing This Action, get some more of Faulkner's shorter works. Yeah, I think that I've suffered from nympholepsy before, a period of time in my life. I might still be, like in denial under the condition, right? So there we go. Um, that's it for the haul, and I want to go ahead and move on because my boy Daniel Backer, it might be waiting in the wings. So go ahead and jump on, brother, if you're right around round, and we'll get to talking. Daniel Backer is a YouTuber, booktuber, and his channel is Off the Wall Novels. I'll put it in the chat, and he does good stuff. He is. We have gotten together and done a video on David Foster Wallace's short story Oblivion, and that was a pretty cool exploration. I think that we got some to a cool place with it. Stuff that I've never heard people saying, that's for sure. Who knows if we're right or not, but does it matter? When it comes down to it, David Foster Wallace is not here, and we are. So what we get from reading his stuff is what we get. And it was just a fun exploration. But Daniel Backer has written a book, and it has not dropped yet, but I was lucky enough that he allowed me to read it. And so we're going to get on and talk a little bit. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Noah, how's it going?
Good, brother. How are you tonight?
Doing great.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
For sure. For sure. So you wrote a book, and it is called Lionel Lancet and the Right Vibe. Do I got that right?
That is correct. Yes.
What a fun read that was. I figure we might start off, if you want to just go ahead and or if you want me to attempt it, a synopsis.
Okay. I've been working on the log line so that I can try to deliver it in a concise way.
Cool.
But it's basically about a boomer who dies, and he wills a charitable foundation to his grandson named Lionel. And Lionel is a stoner and an atheist, but not a smart atheist. He basically just likes when Hitchens and Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins cut people down in YouTube arguments, and he kind of likes the entertainment value more than any like intellectual rigor. But he identifies with that intellectual rigor, and he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. But this is a pretty transparent defense mechanism. So he inherits this foundation and also a job. So he thinks he's going to get all of this money. Instead, he's got to go to work at a luxury resort hotel called the Hotel Bellhaven. And before long, he meets a celebrity who takes a really unexplained interest in him, but he's on board for it. And he starts to suspect that people are conspiring to kill him in a ritual sacrifice. So
It's crazy. It's wild. So very cool. All right. So hey Steve. Steve Donahue's in the house. So nice to see you, Steve. right when his name is uttered. Good job, Mark. I don't know why you did it. So I'll show the cover a little bit. I got to turn my.
Oh yeah, I pulled it up as well. I might be able
I don't know if you got a better, because I'm getting so much glare. But I want to, go ahead and show it like that.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, I'll put some links in the description box as to. There you go. I'll put some links in the description box where you can kind of follow up on the discussion if this sounds like it's up your alley. This thing was. I blew through this book. This thing was a really fun, fast-paced read. And it was crazy. I mean, like, it was wild. First chapter, you're just thrown right into it. Like you said, we have the death of a boomer, and he seems like, you're there. It's almost like you're there in that for the first chapter, but then you see that it's not about him. It's not even about his son. It's about his grandson, and the grandfather's dies. The father just takes off in a helicopter and is like gone, and then you're stuck with this kid who obviously was very had no worries, just living with his dad, smoking pot, watching whatever he wanted social media wise, and just no ambition, no direction, no worries. And now he's thrown into this world where he doesn't have any bearings or anything like that. What I will say to start off this is the characters in this book are amazing.
Okay.
In what ways maybe influences, maybe things that ideas, in what ways were you coming up with these kind of characters, and what was your aim with? There's eccentric characters, there's relatable characters, but the characters are just varied, widely varied. And that's no small feat, to kind of come up with believable, varied characters. And I really very much enjoyed that kind of thing. If you want to talk about a few of them and like maybe where the idea for them came from.
Sure. So like, to not get too lost in the craft of it, but just to say a couple notes on that, is that I studied improv comedy in Chicago for about 5 years. And so I learned so much about writing fiction through performing comedy, and specifically for the characters of, if you make something really, really big and in your face, then it's hard to waffle about it. So
Right.
that's kind of, those earlier drafts of those characters started out as these caricatures that were larger than life, and then making them more realistic and down to earth was a matter of peeling back some of those more ridiculous layers. And so beyond that, I think a lot of it was just based on some of the eccentric characters that I met when I was living in Los Angeles as well, because there are so many stereotypes about the people who live there. But unless you've actually interacted with them, you really don't understand how complex it actually is, because everybody who isn't familiar with LA or only has a limited experience there on a vacation assumes it's like everyone there is fake and materialistic. And
Sure.
it's like, sure, you'll see extremes of that fakeness and that materialism, but it's so much more. Like it has such an interesting way of the way that people communicate and project themselves. And the way that I describe it is that it's people who've made so many different decisions about their personality. And
Right.
so they are just kind of being themselves at you in a really big way. And I'm a Midwesterner, and so I just felt such a culture shock in living there. So yeah, a lot of the characters were just different
Nice.
combinations of odd interactions that I had, and
That's
putting it into the book. Yeah.
that's cool. So we have, just to go through it. First, we have our main character, kind of a, directionless stoner
Mhm.
who, like you said, kind of thinks he knows more than everything and has bought into this like intellectual materialism, but he doesn't really have a personal basis for it. He really just kind of idolizes those that can argue well and
Yeah.
kind of put the arguments out there. And then we have a really hardcore viral uh, lawyer chick that is hell bent on bringing down uh, privileged uh, business owners, uh, any kind of privileged person that she sees that got there on the backs of others in any kind of way. And she already has her sights set on the Lancet empire at the beginning of the book. And Lionel, it ends up being the only one around to to kind of bear the thrust of her going at him. It's pretty wild. She's definitely a hardcore character, and there's a lot to like about that character, actually. um
Oh yeah.
it's there's a lot to like about her, and there's definitely a lot to be scared of about her. I wouldn't want to be confronted by her when she has her agenda already made up, right?
Oh, definitely. Well, that's
And
like, I think that was an early dynamic I had planned, is that you have one lady who's just so set on the fact that Lionel is this terrible, evil man, and Lionel is just has the wind whistling through his ears, and just like could not possibly be this conspirator that she thinks that he is. And so I just thought that was a funny dynamic to explore.
it is. It's cool how it's done too. And then we have, is it Damien?
Yes.
So Damien is the hotel manager. What it is the main character uh in the grandfather's kind of will. He's already set up for a job, and
Mhm.
he just gets placed there, and he's just like, okay, so I'll chill out here now. And Damien is this hotel manager, the hotel that he's working for. And Damien's like, what are you doing? You're not here to chill out, you work here. you know get your butt up and get your clothes changed and get out here and greet people or something. And Lionel is just completely inept. But Damien, kind of this very superficial um character that you don't know you don't know what he's about, and he's got secrets,
Mhm.
and you kind of get that, but you don't know where it comes from or anything like that. Due to a twist of fate, our boy goes to the wrong house and delivers uh something there, and we meet Tony. Tony Motion, is that right?
Emotion. Yeah.
Old Tony Motion. And that character, you might know by, you might have an idea by an inkling by the name. He's a porn director and perhaps actor. You know, you start off acting and then you go into producing and directing, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
You
he
step
rose
up.
through the ranks.
That's how it goes. So this guy is just a trip, and he is bent on getting something that he has found out about, which is this Adakashra, right?
Mhm.
Adakashra. And what is Adakashra?
So it is essentially a psychedelic drug that, according to Art Lancet's best estimations, can reliably produce for the person who imbibes the thing that holds the ultimate power in your life. So he's convinced that it's like a perfect function, input at Akashara, output a narrative that tells you Tony motion as a water.
Yes, he does.
Yes, that is exactly the energy. Um, but yeah, basically, it's a trippy drug that is associated with this foundation that Lionel inherits, and Tony is convinced that Lionel is holding out on him and isn't going to
Right,
give him this drug, but
right,
Lionel doesn't even know about it.
right,
He delivers these documents by his house by mistake, and Tony reads these documents and is like, "I want this drug," and Lionel's like, "I don't
right,
know what to tell you, man. I don't have this thing."
right. Like, dude, I just don't know. And I will say that Tony Motion also has a giant uh sectioned bong named the Executioner.
Or the Exorcist, the
The
Exorcist.
Exorcist. That's what um there's a lot to be wary of in this book.
Yes, yes, there are some PG-13 themes, undeniably.
So we have, and you brought her up already, this actress who is basically kind of a small time actress, as far as, she's not a Hollywood actress necessarily, like full on in the mainstream, as far as I gathered, but famous. I mean,
Yes,
she everybody knows her, and the because her family is completely loaded and has their hands in everything, and her family actually has ties to the grandfather and the father, Lancet. Lionel doesn't know about that either. Like,
correct.
he doesn't know anything. And you feel for this guy. And so what an amazing kind of weird relationship kind of thing they have. Um but what was the kind of background, or what you modeled that kind of character on, if any?
So her character went through a lot of changes in just the different drafts, but ultimately what it became is, I think, one of the central explorations of the book. Since Lionel is an atheist, it's this idea of, is the person just a body, or is there a soul in there? Like, is there something that transcends the body? And so, since Lionel is this unattractive, kind of bad looking dude, and then this celebrity takes an interest in him, he's sort of forced to confront, like, is there something in me that maybe she sees beyond all of this?
Right.
And so I think, like, it's heightened because it's so, like, it's such a mismatch. But I think too, it's just, I hope it's relatable, because I think a lot of people can feel that way when you end up becoming romantically involved with someone and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, what? I don't even understand. Like, they like me. You're like checking over your shoulder to see if
Right.
they're confusing you with somebody
and
else.
and, and yeah, and what a bad look it is to constantly ask the other person why they like you.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just like, please tell me tangibly, like, what do you see in me, because I don't see anything, or something like that. It's ridiculous, but I did think the kind of thing that you're saying there was effective, because she's into kind of a kind of just a pure spirituality.
Mhm.
um could be a pagan spirituality, could be something like that. But it's not necessarily. But she's into tarot, she's into energy, she's into crystals, or other things like that, just personal objects that you will give meaning to, and
Yes.
then also use for your own inner life, that there's something inside of her more than just her, just her body or her mind,
Yeah.
that she's actually working with, that she actually believes in, and she's working with in some kind of way. And Lionel has no idea what she's talking about. And the way that you kind of show that, there's a lot of dialogue in this book.
Mhm.
There's a lot of dialogue in this book, and you do the dialogue very well, I think. I would say that I really enjoyed it, and I didn't totally get the back and forth, and just like, the dialogue didn't, when it was long conversations and passages of dialogue, I wasn't like, all right, let's get to it, like it can be sometimes with dialogue in books. I was enjoying it, and just really, it has its own, it has its own momentum and its own kind of force, power, that's in those words. They're done very well. So when he's being questioned about her,
Mhm.
the actress chick, and he's trying to give his, kind of answer the questions, and he's like, just like, dude, I don't know what she's into, this or she's into that, and what does that mean to me, and he's trying to say that and articulate that. Lionel is not a very articulate person either.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just doesn't have much social skills. He doesn't have many skills at all. So that's the kind of main character that you are, and you instantly feel kind of that you understand this person.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of hidden. He doesn't have any agenda. He's not hiding anything. He's just a dude, and he's just there. But what ensues and what happens around him is a very wild story involving trippy uh a trippy drug, which is very much like DMT or ayahuasca, I would say.
Mhm.
um and I just wanted to say, um how many times have you done 5-MeO DMT, Daniel?
I have never, I wouldn't know where to find it. Well, and just to
Daniel,
save
this
my
is a safe
reputation.
place. This is a safe place.
Um, no, but to be perfectly clear, a lot of people have asked me that because that's something I explored in a novella um, I released about 4 years ago, and I consider Lionel Lancet and the Right Vibe to be like kind of a more full realization of some of those themes. But a lot of the inspiration for that sort of thing I got from a podcast called the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, and it was
Nice.
through that podcast, and then through like Terrence McKenna and different
Sure.
speakers like that
Sure.
who really just showed me the similarities between that experience and a lot of the language philosophy things that I had learned both through Buddhism, but then also through Pynchon and David Foster Wallace and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Because DMT is supposed to basically like dissolve your concept of self. And I just saw a lot of similarity between that and the idea of like dismantling a concept as like a unified knowable thing that you can grasp in your hand. And
Right.
so I think a lot of the intentions of this book sort of under the hood were to take somebody who only has the scientific rationalist view of the world and
Right.
then to give them these experiences that would make them confront that just beyond materialism you have phenomenology, and then within phenomenology you have basically textual symbols in your perception that you then dismantle. And as someone who likes to argue and someone who likes to be right about everything, that stuff just falls like sand through your hands. You
Right.
cannot be convincing. You can be poetic, you can be inspired, but like it's really difficult to create a narrative around that sort of thing with any rigor. And that's just always been a fascinating idea to me. And so that's at the core of the book.
We're not going to spoil it.
Yes.
But I
Okay. Yeah.
do.
I appreciate
But
that. I
but
appreciate
I
that.
really do. I really do like kind of where this kind of goes, and it's fun. It's funny. It kind of makes you go, kind of look at life and say, man, it's really like this. It's tough out here.
That's great to
In
hear.
a way.
That's a high compliment.
But you set this up, and you do have a nice kind of segue, kind of easing the reader into what does happen with this Adakashra,
Mhm.
because the main character has kind of, I don't want to call them out of body experiences or OBEs in a way like that, but it's kind of like that. It's where he kind of goes out of himself, and he just can't. It's almost like a panic attack episode,
Mhm.
but it's not a anxiety driven. He has anxiety because of it, but it's more like he just needs to be he needs to kind of close himself off for an episode. And I mean, there's not a lot of anything he can do about it. He just kind of suffers this,
Mhm.
and it's not necessarily like a condition or something that's a negative, unless he has something to do. It almost is like he might have been having these kind of things his whole life and didn't really care. It was just part of his life, and he just kind of, oh, this is going to happen again, and that kind of thing. But now he's in a place where, he might have something he has to do, or he might be dealing with somebody and be like, man, now's not the time for this. So, but there's that kind of thing that Lionel Lancet, when it comes down to it, turned out to be a much more complex character than I thought. And the kind of thing that we say and have said so far, just talking about it, is kind of putting him in this really simplistic box. When he does, and he doesn't really turn out like that at all. He does have some experiences in the book that bring him to that, but you see that even before. And I think this is something that is true with people, that when you have ideas where you've kind of planted your flag and you've kind of made your mind up about stuff, you think that you think you got it all figured out yourself. You think you've got it figured out, where you know yourself and you know who you are and what you think and what you're about, and I'm like this and I'm like that kind of stuff. And then when something happens to test that, sometimes those ideas are shown to be very, very shaky,
Mhm.
or shadowy, and not even have any substance to them, with in the face of the slightest kind of challenge. And this is all on an internal level, on like an existential thing. And people have kind of crises within themselves at that point. And that kind of thing is what you kind of are pointing at with this, in a way, I think, because there is a lot of growth on an internal level, along with the wild plot and the just nonstop action of what goes on in this book. So I really enjoyed it. It was a fun read, and I would say, do you have anything to speak into that
Oh
that you
yeah.
would like
I
to say?
mean, I mean, yeah. I think that's a very very clear or just a very correct reading of like my intentions with a lot of that because um a lot of the dynamic, just to start with this, between like Melanie and Lionel, for example, is a pretty clear exploration of like what identity politics are, and the idea that since Lionel is this like white guy who inherits this foundation, she zeroes in on him being this bad guy. And
Right.
also, I think as the reader, I present him at the beginning to the reader as like a dope and as a guy
Yeah,
who's
unlikable for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
You're just like, screw this kid.
100%, 100%. And so like but then also with Melanie as well, is that like I think she's presented as somebody who um is a bit of a caricature as well, is that she would be the kind of like archetypal social justice warrior who is just really aggressive and that sort of thing. And so one of the challenges of the book was to try to present these types that people knew and that people made assumptions about on short shrift, and then to sort of reveal that beyond the surface that these were people with their own experiences, and that it's like it's certainly not sticking up for either of their sides, because I think it's a satire through and through and just trying to expose the silliness and all of that. But a lot of that was an idea that I got from Flight to Canada by Ishmael Reed, which I recommend everybody check out. He's a fantastic postmodern author. And what makes this book so amazing is that the characters in this book are explicit racial stereotypes. And so by reading it, you have to confront what you think of like the Uncle Tom and the Mammy and the magical Negro and like all of these stereotypes that he puts in front of you. And you're forced to deconstruct your own image of the way that like Black people have been portrayed throughout literature. And so like I just thought that was such a fantastic idea. And then given with everything else I was trying to play with in phenomenology and in the postmodern idea, I wanted to take that and put it into a different direction of someone who was like way less sympathetic, which is like a little rich stoner atheist guy, and like just see where that took me. So
Cool. Very cool. So a lot are asking, when is this book dropping? When are you when where can they get it? That kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put some links in the description box after I do this.
sure.
But also, if you want to, if you have access, you can write in the chat your Instagram. There's a lot of information over there, and your YouTube is Off the Wall Novels. You've put some information out on YouTube, more on Instagram. It's just an easier medium to do these, daily or whatever kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, here.
So, but when are you looking to drop it? It's about a month from now, right?
That's correct. So I'll get all of those in there in a moment. But my handle for Instagram and TikTok is Daniel Backer Author. And it's going to be released on August 15th, and I should have the pre-order rolled out within the first week of August. And so I don't want to rush into that because I'm still squaring away the formatting and everything for the actual printed copies. But most definitely the official order date will be August 15th. And so like I'm going to be posting updates all over my YouTube channel, my Instagram, on TikTok. And then also, if you just want to join my mailing list, it's danielbacker.com. And I literally will only send an email out whenever I release a book. So I'm not going to be like spamming you with all these different things. So it'll be like once every couple years whenever I release a book. So
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me read it beforehand. Um, it was one of those things that was just I appreciate it. I like to get in on that kind of stuff. Your story is kind of right up my alley. You know what I mean? It's just fun. It's cool, and it had some big ideas, and it has some eccentric characters and all that kind of thing. So I really appreciate it, Daniel. Is there anything else you wanna say while we got you here tonight?
I mean, thank you so much for doing this and just all the support along the way. I watched a lot of your videos, and I knew that I wanted to get your eyes on it before I released it out into the world. So I'm glad that you took the time, and thank you for having me on tonight. So
Heck yeah, man! Booktubers, baby, and I mean that's the thing too. Daniel Becker is taking time out of his booktube, and his main thing of really putting content out there for YouTube to write this book for us. I really appreciate it, man. I love the community here. I really do. Starting the booktube channel and really getting into a community of readers is one of the coolest things that I've done, and I didn't really realize that what kind of community was here when I started. And then to see that there's so many booktubers, there are so many that just focus on independent authors, focus on small presses, focus on um, the new, because that's what we're all about. We're all about stories. We're all about that kind of thing. So it's really cool to be on the ground floor of a new story, a new book that's going to come out, and hopefully people were turned on. That's the whole idea. Turn these readers on, baby. So very cool, Daniel. I'm looking forward to more collabs in the future, man. It was really cool going into that short story with you we did, and oh, you're in the sanctuary.
That's right.
Daniel
Yep,
Backer jumped into the Faulkner in August 2021 sanctuary read.
that's
So
right.
be ready for some dark, expertly told, um, crazy Southern Gothic, maybe horror show. I don't know if how dark it is, but Faulkner is not. There's no light, so I'm really eager to get to light in August because I don't know where he came up with that title because there's not much light in Faulkner's work, but it is. I'm falling head over heels for Faulkner, so I hope you enjoy it, and a lot of our community that are here tonight are in on that as well, just because it's a cool reading challenge, and you can't go wrong with Faulkner, man. So we'll do it. We're gonna do it.
I'm eager.
Thank you, everybody.
Most definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Noah. Thanks again for doing this.
My pleasure. An hour is usually where I call it, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it. And thank you, everybody, for coming by. And I'm happy to change it up and to always do something new on my Friday lives. And thank you, Daniel, for coming and letting us do that. And we'll catch you on the next one, BookTube. Bye
Absolutely.
bye.
Everyone have a good one.